Thank you so much, Sarah. That was a mouthful. And I have many questions, and I've written down a couple,
Sure.
but I'll let the audience go. But first, I would want to say, okay, your diet, starting from you showed us that wonderful plate. It looks good, but honestly, for those of us who can handle a plant-based only diet, there must be something else that we can add that at least maybe it's I would say maybe the least harmful animal protein category that we can add to our food, because I don't see myself eating plant-based only. And I know that that is the optimal, condition. That is what will get us the optimal health. But
Right.
while we are transitioning, what can we do?
Well, I know I will not, I'll be lying if I told you it was easy, especially with our background, where we come from is all meat, meat, meat. What I've done personally, is I've reduced the amount that I take. So for instance, if you're eating any animal products, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Sunday to Sunday, 7 days a week, you can cut it down. You can have maybe like a meatless Monday, for Monday, don't eat any meats, Tuesday, don't, stuff like that. Change it gradually. Some might not be able to go, from meats to no meats. That might be hard, but just reduce it. And I also think the fact that you're aware of it now, as I said, education, knowledge is very important. The fact that studies have shown it. It's so amazing how much science changes all the time and how much education we have all the time. And you realize that, oh my God, so this is actually the reason why somebody that has diabetes, no matter how you change your diet, you get on insulin, you never get off your medication. It gets worse. Your diabetes can never get better. It gets worse, So you have to reduce, the animal content, just eat more beans, eat more fruits and vegetables, potatoes, yams, carbohydrates are not the enemy. It's the processed carbohydrates that is the enemy.
Thank you. How about fish?
Fish is also animal product, but fish is still, as I said, it still has the saturated fats, it still has, the inflammation. And because of the way that our foods are made now, the animal products, even the fruits and vegetables, there's so many chemicals. You can't guarantee, a wild caught salmon or a wild caught tilapia is healthy because of the pollution, because of so many things that they eat. So, fish, they have mercury. We talk about mercury in fish, they talk about the ultimate goal and the best diet is to be 100% plant-based, but obviously that's difficult. So if you want to eat fish, that's fine, but not a lot, just reduce it. As I said, maybe eat your animal product 2 or 3 times a week, if you have to eat fish. Don't eat too much. Make your plates more plants, more potatoes, rice, beans, fruits and vegetables, and put very little of the animal products. That's the main thing.
So it's more like moderation. At least start with moderation, and then you can eventually graduate to plant only if you can.
If you can. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, it's not as difficult as people think. I thought it was really difficult for me to be plant-based. Now, I'm not 100% plant-based. I'll say I'm about 80 to 90% plant-based, but I thought it was difficult, but there's so many alternatives that you can eat and you can still get that flavor and you not miss the meat or you won't miss the chicken. It's at the end of the day is mindset, really, is your
It
mindset.
is. It
It
is.
is.
Thank you so much, Sarah. This is really great information. And thank you all for posting your questions in the chat. I have 2 questions I just saw in the chat. The first one is, does standing and walking around in the kitchen for hours satisfy walking outside for an hour? And
That's
second
interesting.
one,
Well, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, the main thing is physical activity. You'll walk, okay, fine, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking, you're doing all that stuff. You're active. Fine is not where we want it to be. I want you to be able to, burn more calories, be more active. But if that's the activity that you can get, if being in the kitchen for an hour, walking around and doing stuff is what you can get to keep you moving, why not? You're active. You're not sitting on the couch eating chips or just relaxing for hours and hours. You're moving. So that's definitely that's good. You can do that.
great, and thank you. There's another question. In terms of substance use, how do e-cigarettes fare?
E-cigarettes. So from what I know about e-cigarettes, so with e-cigarette, they take away, and that's the thing about, they always try to make a bad habit good. We always try to, okay, well, you're not supposed to, smoke, but well, we're going to do e-cigarette. Smoking is not good, period. So why butter it up? So e-cigarettes, I would not recommend that, because even though it doesn't have the tar, I mean, some of them, it doesn't have the harmful substances, but it still has the nicotine in there. And the nicotine is what is addictive. And if you're addicted to anything, that thing is taking control of your life. It's taking control of your brain. It's going to taking control of what, of who you are. So anything that's going to keep you addicted to it, I would not recommend. So, e-cigarette, as I said, the tar and the cancer causing thing might not be there, but the addictive substance is still in there. And that it's not, for the brain is really not good, for your mental health, it's definitely not encouraged.
Okay, I have another question. How can parents help a child who is not making friends and does not interact outside of the home?
Okay, that's interesting. So it's a gradual thing. So you have to find out why. Spend some time with your child. What's going on? Why is it that they don't want to interact? What's going on? Are they scared? Is there some anxiety going on? You need to probe a little bit, deeper. And once you find out exactly, okay, this is what's going on. You're anxious about school, or you're anxious about the environment. You can talk to them, take little steps. Okay, fine, you don't want to go outside. Okay, maybe we can go outside together. We can go outside together for 5 minutes, then maybe 10 minutes, or, you find a friend that they can talk to. It's just little baby steps. And you have to also encourage them and find out exactly what's going on and why they don't want to go outside, because there's always something that they're not telling you.
And if I may add to that, as parents, and this is something I did when my children were much younger, I actually identified younger people, but who share my values, who my children can talk with. And I identified those people. I kind of connected my children with them. Of course, I had a conversation with those people because I wanted them to be on the lookout. We African parents can be funny, and sometimes we can be weird too. Everything is noise, everything is shouting, everything is sit down there, or shut up and things like that. And sometimes because of that attitude that we have, we can easily miss the warning signals. So what I did at that point, years back, was to encourage my children to develop relationship with those people, whereby if for some reason they are not able to talk with me, they have other adults in their lives that they can open up to, that they feel comfortable with. So I think, I always say this, those kind of relationships need to be in place way before you need it. So that over time, if you happen to find out that your child is not interacting and things like that, you can reach out to those people, such that they can have a conversation. Maybe at the first try, the second try, your child is absolutely not opening up to you and something is wrong. There has to be people, that over time, your maybe other adults that you think your child is comfortable with interacting with. That's what I did back then. And every now and then, even though my children are, young adults of their own now, but I've found that it works. There are times that those, maybe those people will just take them out for a walk or, stay back after church and talk with them and just sound them out. And they're able to, because the truth is that sometimes because of a strained relationship with a parent, a child will not open up. And God forbid, by the time you realize it, the deed is done. They're seriously sick, seriously depressed, or they've had a meltdown and things like that. You don't want it to get to that point. So earlier on, you want to ensure that there are people around you and around in their lives that they can open up to, and at least kind of who can get through to them if you are not getting through to them.
Thank you so much. The information is amazing and we're learning so much. There's yet another question, and please just keep them coming. This is free consultation, so let's make good use of it. This one says, depression and suicide are on the rise in immigrant children. What do you think is responsible?
Personally, I think it's because of the expectations, the new environment. They're trying to balance the culture that they're coming from with the culture that they're in. So it could be confusing for them. They're trying to fit in the community, with their friends, with the American population and the culture. But at the same time, they have the values, they have what their parents want them to do. And it's really hard for them sometimes to balance both. And I think that's where the depression and the anxiety comes in, and they don't know how to manage that. Their parents want them, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. You have this expectation, you're supposed to go to medical school, you're supposed to be a doctor, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that, you're supposed to have perfect grades. But sometimes that's not, what they want to do. And they end up getting depressed, and, it gets too much for them. So I think that's the reason why those rates are elevated. And if Auntie Bola can chime in, you can tell us what you think about that.
You're absolutely right, Sarah. Many of us have expectations of our kids that are not realistic. And whether we like it or not, there's a whole lot out there that these kids have to deal with. For instance, let's say you're an immigrant family, and like you're a Nigerian at home, you are not a Nigerian at school, your child deals with labeling at school, or they label them because their accent is thick, or their accent is strong, or they're Black, or their hair is different, and other kids already make fun of them outside, and then they come home, the environment at home is not conducive either. So you have to understand how this affects a child, so it's like I'm neither here nor there. Even as an adult, it's something I had to deal with at work. When I first started working, now I tell people I've paid my dues and nobody can mess with me. If you try it, you're only going to lose your job if you don't end up going to jail. But it wasn't always like this, I started out in corporate America having a thick accent. I still have a thick accent, but, I've learned to navigate my way, But, imagine for a child, they start out, they pick on them at school, or where are you from? You you should be able to believe it because we still saw it, or we heard it from our president recently, our American president, calling us names. So they go to school, they call them names. They ask them, do you live on trees? Or did you live on trees before you came here? Or, why are you like this? What happens in your house? Those kinds of things damage their self-esteem. And then if they now come home where they expect it to be a sanctuary of some sort, and all we do is shout at them, shout them down, you're not even paying attention. It can really, 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 really damage a child. It can damage a child. It can depress them to the point of, like what you said, they start having failing grades. Recently, I saw on Instagram, and it shook me for a few days, this Kenyan woman who posted something about her son who committed suicide. I don't know what the background story in the family is, but apparently the child was being bullied in his school, and then they moved him to another school thinking that that would help. But he had failing grades, and I think he failed one major exam, and then before they knew it, he committed suicide. He hung himself right in his mother's veranda, the veranda of the apartment. And it was some younger kids that came and called the mom to come and find the child. And here she was on Instagram. My heart went out to her because apparently she must have missed some clues, I pray that, none of us will get there, but it means that we have to really pay attention. We have to pay attention. We have to make sure that we have a relationship with our child such that they are open to discuss with us, whether they are being labeled or they are being bullied or they are being harassed, or whether they are just struggling with their academics. If we keep telling them, if you fail that course, I'm going to kill you, that's not going to help them. So we as parents, we have to, you are the number one impact on your child's life. So even though other people may be in a position to help you, the work is yours. And what part of what you have to do is to make sure you're accessible to your child. You may say, oh, I'm accessible, I'm home all the time, or they have access to me, but do they have access to you in terms of trust, in terms of confidence, in terms of, emotional stuff? Can they really open up to you? Can they really confide in you? Can they be themselves with you and say, Mommy, I'm struggling with this course? Or for instance, I've been called, like PRI, not personally, but PRI has been asked to intervene with some college kids that wanted to go in a particular direction, and their parents insisted that that child must study a particular course. I don't want to go into details because there might be people here who know them. And this child, thank God, one of our sisters was able to really connect with the child. She's a college student here in Atlanta. She really became very suicidal. She became very suicidal, and she was this close to committing suicide. But thank God for divine intervention, and because that sister was very, very sensitive in her spirit, eventually she asked for permission from the girl to speak to her parents, and eventually was able to redirect her. This was, I think she was a second year, a third year student on campus here, one of the campuses here in Atlanta. And that might have been another statistics, So we have to pay attention. We have to be open. We have to be accessible. We have to build a supportive relationship with our children. You shouldn't be that kind of parent that, all you do, the only time they hear your voice is when you're condemning them. You don't affirm them. You have to affirm your child. You have to help them build their self-esteem. Like I said earlier, there's a whole lot of negative stuff that they have to deal with outside. They shouldn't have to deal with those same kind of negative stuff at home. Home is where they should be able to open up their hearts and say, Mommy, Daddy, this is what I'm dealing with, and then you should be able to help them through it. And of course, if all else, everything else does not seem to work, we need to look for help.
Thank you so much. And that's a great segue into a question that just popped up. Looking for help. It says, why is there an unwillingness to seek professional help amongst Africans, immigrants, and Black people in general?
I think it's just our belief system. It's just stereotype. They don't want to be labeled, oh, you have mental illness. You're not tough. You're not strong. You're not managing your emotion. It's that stereotype. I think that's the reason why, we don't like, we don't want to be labeled. People don't like to be labeled. It's something that is shunned on. I don't know what the background is, why that is, but I think it's just a belief, like, oh, you don't want people to know that, you have issues, or you're depressed, you're anxious. Nobody wants to talk about it. I don't know why, but it's just the culture. I think it's a culture thing.
That's true. And sometimes I wonder why, like you said, that you don't know what the background is, because I don't know why we would want to go to our GPs, our family practitioners. And when we think we have, I don't even know why we call it mental, I don't know where that word came from, maybe that word itself, maybe the definition of the word or something. Sarah, you are the health professional here. Maybe it's the definition of the word that makes people, want to, like shy away from it. I lost my mom early this year, and then shortly after that, COVID and everything, And I started realizing that I was losing my train of thought. I was constantly forgetting stuff. I'm in a profession where I've been in this profession for about 16 years, at least in the US, not counting my Nigeria experience. And I started to make silly mistakes that an entry-level person should not even make. At that time, that was when I realized, okay, I think I need help. And yeah, my company offers some benefits in that regard. I went and looked up the resources, and I called the line. I chatted with them online, and then they gave me a call, and I set up appointment. Right now, I'm in a, like, I think it's going to be 6 to 9 weeks is what the counselor said. But yes, I'm taking counseling for whatever it is. I don't know whether it's depression, it's full-blown depression or whatever, but there is no stigma. There should be no stigma in it. If you're maybe we'll display the risk factors again. Sarah, if you don't mind sharing those risk factors again. If you start to see those risk factors in yourself or in your child, you should please get help. It's better to get help. Like they say, it's better safe than sorry. Because one, if you're able to talk to someone about it, maybe what you think is a big issue, they're able to help you to break it down and help you to understand that, well, this is the natural progression. Maybe you've had some trauma, you've gone through a difficult semester or a difficult time at work. And yes, it's natural that you begin to feel discouraged and things like that. But if you don't talk to people, how do they know how to help you? So I'm sharing my experiences just so we know. It doesn't mean that if you go to talk to a counselor, it doesn't mean that you're going mad, like they say. It does not equate to that. It just means that it could be a hormonal imbalance. Maybe there's some sort of imbalance that is predisposing you towards that. Like I said, I started to make mistakes that an entry-level professional shouldn't make. And I said, no, that's not where I need help. And I sought out by the time I finished talking with the agent, it's a network of professionals. They are able to say, okay, this is the kind of help you need. We will go ahead and schedule you. Somebody will reach out to you. I want to be, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I want to encourage us. There should be no stigma about this. Please, let's get help for ourselves, or let's get help for our children. If you're not sure, talk to someone, and then you can go from there. If you have insurance, for most people, your insurance would cover it. But even if the insurance does not cover it, there are websites where there are free resources available, where at least they can do maybe the first consultation, right, Sarah? They can do the first consultation free, and you can go from there to see. And I'll pause, and then after that, if there's another question, we'll take that, and then I'll ask Sarah to actually tell us what her business does. And in case some of us might need her help, need her services, we can reach out to her.
Yes, there's a question about the warning signs. Are the warning signs the same for adults?
Yes, definitely. It's, obviously if they're younger, if they're, younger than 10 years old, they might have little different ways of expressing themselves. It's the same thing with adults. You're not sleeping well. You're losing sleep. You're not concentrating well. You're very irritable. You're very angry. You don't know why. You're just so upset. You don't know why you're finding a hard time concentrating. You're trying to read a book, but you're reading the same sentence 2, 3, 4 times. It's not clicking. Then you know that you lose, there might be some depression going on in there. You're not eating, you're skipping meals, you're losing weight, or you're eating too much. You're just soothing yourself. So those are the warning signs. You're just, you're isolated. You don't want to hang out with your friends anymore. The things that you used to love doing. For instance, if you love, going out with your friends, or you love going to the gym, or you love shopping. Let's use an example. You love shopping. Then all of a sudden you find yourself, you don't want to go shopping anymore. Things that gave you joy, things that you always enjoy doing, you don't want to do them anymore. Then that's kind of like a sign, like, okay, there's something going on. You're eating too much, you're not sleeping enough, you don't want to get involved in anything. Those are the signs. Those are the signs that you might be going through depression. Sleep is a big thing. I think a lot of people don't know that whenever they're depressed, because their mind is going through, is racing, is playing a lot of things, and kind of like a little sin there in your brain. You can't sleep. If you're sleeping 2-3 hours, you're waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning or earlier consistently. You're wondering why. There might be something going on that you need to pay little bit of attention to. So definitely it's the same warning signs.
Okay, Sarah, one more question for you. What should we be doing? Okay, we've looked at the risk factors, we've looked at the warning signs. What is one very important thing that if we don't do anything else, this is one important thing that we need to focus on as family, especially as parents, to help out, because we know that if we are able to help our children, half of the, or more than half of the work is done, because they have a strong platform from which to spring, you know. So what is one thing that we should focus on?
I think it's spending time. I think quality time is very important. You know, even though you don't get the diet in, you don't get the exercise in, you don't get to hydrate, but that connection, that social connection, that personal connection is very, very important when it comes to mental health, because you can help them feel better if they're going through depression or they're anxious. You know, you can talk to them. It's going to be okay. Let's work things through. So I think if anything, it's that connection, that letting them know that you understand them, you love them, you're here for them. You know, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to yell at you. You know, you make the
I'm not going to kill you.
I'm not going to kill you. make the environment less stressful for them. You know, I know parenting is hard. You know, no matter how much you try, kids will do what they want to do, and you know, kids don't always come out 100% perfect. But at least you try. If they come to you, okay, mommy, I want to do this. Don't yell. Why are you doing that? Find that, okay, why do you want to do that? What are your thoughts about that? Make it more like a conversation, because if they know the reason why you don't want them to do that, they will think about it. Oh, I never thought of it. But if you just condemn them and say, no, you're not supposed to do that, that's not what you're supposed to do, then some kids will just rebel and do what you told them not to do just because they want to prove a point. So I think the main thing is communication. The main thing is spending that quality time with your kids.
Thank you. So go ahead and tell us about Unlayered Health and Wellness. Tell us what you do and tell us, where we can find you or how we can find you.
Sure. So Unlayered Health and Wellness is, it's my little baby, as I call it, is to help everyone live healthy, healthy lifestyle, educating, weight loss. I talk to my clients, because I have a couple of clients that I'm working with. I talk to them about how they can live a healthy lifestyle, how they can, some of them get off the medications, how they can lose weight. The main thing is education, because if you can educate people without just telling them do X, Y, and Z, but educate them, they can make good decisions. So that's what I do. I do health coaching. I coach people on, how to live a healthier lifestyle. So that's really my passion.
Do you have a website where we can find information, or maybe your Facebook page, your handle, your social media handle?
Yeah, on Facebook, it just says Unlayered Health and Wellness. You just type that in and you see it come up. And on Instagram, it says Unlayered Wellness, and you can see me there. I have a private Facebook group that I have a number of people that I'm nurturing, that I'm coaching, so it's also open. It's mainly for healthcare providers, nurses and doctors and things like that. But the people in the group, they're women, they're professional women that just want to learn more about eating healthy. They want to lose weight. So the group is also open for them to just get that education and support.
Do you have an email address, your business email address, if people want to reach out to you directly?
Sure. It's unlayeredwellness@gmail.com.
So if someone wants to reach out to you directly, like there are some people that may not be social media and want to just shoot you an email to find out how you can help them. So unlayeredwellness@gmail.com, they can send you an email and you'll be willing to talk with them. Okay, thank you everyone for your time. Thank you, Sarah. This has been absolutely enlightening, the little things that we can do to make sure our family stays healthy, or to begin our journey of being healthy. If we wherever you are today, you can always start to make improvements. You know, you can always take the baby steps. Like I started to eat more fish. I've cut down beef for a while, but recently somebody brought me this tray of ayamase. Oh my God. And you know, I am struggling with that tray of ayamase, but for the most part, I eat chicken, I eat turkey, and I'm increasing the fish, you know. And again, like I shared, there's no shame in looking for help. I recently signed up for counseling and therapy. Yeah, you see my face, you know, I look so good, but I know that I'm struggling with some things, you know. And the truth is, if I don't seek help, it may degenerate and go in a direction that I don't want. So please seek help, get help, talk to a friend. If you're a Christian and you go to a church, talk to your pastor. But more importantly, if you really think things are going overboard, please seek professional help. You know, just make sure you're not isolated. Make sure you are not isolated. Like Sarah said, one of the important things that she said, and I think I put it in the chat, is that God made human beings to interact. God made human beings to interact. We are not meant to live life in isolation. So if you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, like the whole world is crumbling on your head, please look out for, you know, reach out to someone, let someone know, you know, let someone know. Nobody should have to live life alone. If you've been at any of our programs, this is something I always stress, that each one of us need a network of support, and that network needs to be in place before you need it. By the time you need it, it's already, if it's not in place already, it's a bit tough. So you need it. Do your children know who are the first 3 people to call if anything happens? And do those people know that, you know, you have put them there, you know, like 1, 2, 3, if anything happens to me, or if you are trying to reach mommy and you can't reach mommy, or you can't reach daddy, or daddy and mommy are acting up, you know, like teenagers have a way of, referring to us, or they say my mom doesn't get it, my daddy doesn't get it. When you and your spouse are not getting it, or when you are not getting it and your kids are frustrated, do they have people that they can go talk to? You need to, and for yourself, even for yourself, you need a network of support. You know, I had people here living with me for 2 or 3 weeks when I lost my mother. If those people were not here, because my kids are not in town, my kids are out of state. So I can't imagine that, you know, something like that happens and I'm by myself. I would have run crazy. That's the truth. But thank God, somebody reached me within the first hour when I received the news. The other person was waiting for me at home. There were people making plans for me, driving me around, you know, taking me everywhere. Who are those people in your life? Who is in your network of support? Do they have information about you? Do your children know those people? Please, let's not live isolated lives. You know, let's build a community of support for one another. So again, thank you so very much for coming, for joining us. If you would like to join Parenting Resources, we have our Facebook groups, we have WhatsApp group chat, we have a YouTube channel. If you look for PRI_ATL in YouTube, you will find some resources there. We're putting some more there. So we're here to help you. We're here to help your family. We pray with one another. We encourage one another. And we want to see you thrive. We want to see your family thrive. Again, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing this wealth of information with us. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you and God bless you.